this video is going to be big on the mindset, on a lot of things that's going to be covered that will help you understand that it's your internal world, how we think about the world, not how the world actually is, that is going to color it. And I want to give you an example about coloring, because we can all be standing, at the moment I'm sitting here and I'm looking outside my window and I see Tower Bridge. And if you would be sitting here next to me, we would look at Tower Bridge in the same position and we see it in the same way. But imagine that I would put on a pair of glasses that had green light and you would sit there with a pair of glasses that had a red light. And then a third person would ask us to describe what we're seeing. And I would go like, oh, it's so lovely, all of those green, really deep colors, really beautiful. It makes me really feel happy, and yeah, I'm loving it. It's so beautiful, and I feel great. And you sit there, maybe like some really dark red glasses, and you sit here like, yeah, it's just miserable. It's just, you know, it reminds me of death because it's blood. I see, like, it reminds me of blood, and also with the water running on the Thames, it's not very pleasant. I'm not really having a really good time. Can you see that we were both sitting here and we were both watching Tower Bridge and the Thames, but because I had green color glasses on and you had red color glasses on, our experience of the world were very different, even though technically we saw the same thing. And this is what I'm coming at when it comes to our world is our perception of the world, not necessarily what the world actually is. And so if we have 10 billion people on this world, we have 10 billion different perceptions of what this world actually is. And so if we can start looking at how do I see the world, is the world a reflection of how I want it to be? As in, do I feel great in this world? Do I see opportunities or do I see challenges? We can start to create a more resilient mindset. We can work on ourselves so that we can actually experience the world in a whole brighter light and way. And that is part of the process of personal development. It's to understanding what your shade of the world is, and to be able to understand that what you see, it's only a reflection of what you feel. And then I want to go and move into then circumstances and actions, or if we talk about the natural laws of the universe called cause and effect, it's that for every action there is an equal reaction somewhere else. So for every actions that we take, there will be a circumstantial change somewhere. We might not be able to change exactly the circumstances that we are trying to change, but if our actions align with what we want, the more we create and focus on what we can do, rather than focusing on the outcomes that we actually don't have any control over, but we focus on what we can do, which is our thoughts, what we actually do with our thoughts. And we put the energy in the process. You might have heard the words flying around, like being process driven rather than outcome driven, because it's in the process. You will probably find a lot more joy and fulfillment because you understand that this is something you can control. Whereas if you still want to be here in the outcome process, in the outcome based way of thinking, you might find that you're always going to be disappointed because you're focusing on things that you might not be able to control. You can't control the circumstances. The circumstances are a reflection of your actions, but your actions can't necessarily control those circumstances. And that is the thing, that once you understand that, you will not care too much every day what the actual weight on the scale says, but you will focus on putting your balanced meals on the plate and eating them in a nice slow tempo. You will focus on making sure you're hitting your steps every day and that you're exercising to your best abilities whenever you're supposed to exercise. And if we're in this process, this is going to move. But if we're only thinking about what the scale says today, then the process gets forgotten, and the why we do things, it's not ever going to come with you. And what you find is that you will get really upset if the scale doesn't go your way that day, because you didn't pay attention to the process. You just did and you did, but you didn't really understand that this is where you have all the power. Here you don't have a power. There are many reasons, which I'm not going to cover here in this video, for why the scale doesn't always move in the right direction when you're really good, and why sometimes it moves really in the right direction where maybe you in your word weren't so good. So mindset is all about perception, and creating a positive mindset, a strong mental resilient mindset